All right, go ahead, Yvonne.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall with Planned Parenthood Votes President Cecile Richards and Texas State Senate candidate Libby Willis. We'll be discussing how we can get strong women's health advocates such as Libby Willis in the state Senate. My name is Yvonne Gutierrez, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm the Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, and I will be moderator for tonight's event. We will begin in just a moment with Cecile Richards and Libby Willis, and we're excited to have you join us tonight. Before we begin, a few quick points to make. Right now, we're in the process of dialing out to thousands of people, so just stay on the line and we'll be hearing from Cecile and Libby soon. Also, we want to hear from you. If you would like to ask a question, please press 0 on your telephone keypad and you'll be connected directly with one of our volunteer operators. Again, press 0 to ask a question. If you have just joined us, good evening and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall with Planned Parenthood Votes President Cecile Richards and Texas State Senate candidate Libby Willis. Tonight we'll be discussing how we can get strong women's health advocates such as Libby Willis in the state Senate. My name is Yvonne Gutierrez. I'm Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, and I'll be the moderator for tonight's event. We're going to begin in just a moment, and thanks for joining us. Right now we're in the process of dialing out to thousands of people, so stay on the line and we will hear from our speakers shortly. If you want to ask a question, please press 0 at any time during this event. Again, press 0 at any time to ask a question. And now, without further delay, it is my pleasure to introduce Cecile Richards, President of Planned Parenthood Votes.
Thanks, Yvonne, and thanks to everybody for being on tonight. I'm so thrilled to be back in my home state of Texas to talk about why it is so important to elect Libby Willis to the Texas Senate, and also to talk about the great work that Planned Parenthood Texas Votes PAC is doing. Let me tell you, we had nothing like this going on back when my mother was elected governor of Texas back in 1990. I really want to brag on Yvonne and Planned Parenthood Texas Votes PAC. They were knocking on 12 to 16,000 doors every week, and we've already knocked on more than 300,000 doors this election. That's more than twice than we did in the entire country in 2012. This is the kind of commitment we have to the future of Texas and, of course, to this election. I was here last summer when we reminded the world of the power of ordinary people to really make their voices heard and to inspire and to spur on our elected officials and to hold them accountable when necessary. We know what happens when the wrong people win elections. For years, women in Texas have been paying the price for the personal ambitions of a small handful of politicians. First, policies supported by Greg Abbott forced 76 health centers in our state to close their doors and leaving women to drive hundreds of miles to access safe and legal abortion or even life-saving preventive care. And then, of course, Governor Perry and his allies had ended the Texas Women's Health Program, cutting more than 160,000 women off of the health care that they need. It's so clear that House Bill 2 has nothing to do with protecting women's health and everything to do with restricting access to safe and legal abortion and women's health care. And whether or not this bill holds up in court, Planned Parenthood is here to stay. We've been in Texas for nearly 80 years, and we'll be here for another 80. But, we're working hard for Wendy Davis and Letitia Vandepute, and I know you are too. But tonight, we really want to talk to you about Libby Willis, who's running for Wendy's old state Senate seat in District 10. This is a crucial seat. We must win this seat in order to have enough women's health champions to filibuster any more anti-women's health legislation in the Senate. Without Libby in the Senate, we won't be able to stop them. The polling is very close in this race, but we can win it if we knock on one more door and make one more phone call. So Libby is such an important leader in her own right, and she's running against an opponent where there are such clear contrasts. Her opponent is against abortion, even in cases of rape and incest, but Libby doesn't believe that the government should interfere in these very private decisions. Libby is for equal pay for men and women. Her opponent says she'd vote against that. Libby thinks that we should fund public schools and use a budget surplus to make up for unnecessary budget cuts, while her opponent thinks that private school vouchers should be part of the discussion. This election could not be more important, and this decision in this race could not be more clear. Neither could what I'm asking you to do. Yvonne's going to give you more details on what you can do. We've got less than a week left to get out the vote. We need you, Libby needs you, and Texas needs you. So I'm thrilled to be on the phone with her tonight, and I'm going to turn it back to Yvonne.
Thank you so much, Cecile. Again, I want to remind everyone to press 1 if you have a question. At this time, we're going to go ahead and take our first poll question. The question is, what women's health issues are you most concerned about? Press 1 for accessible health services for all women. Press 2 for sex education. Press 3 for patient protection. Press 4 for access to emergency contraception. And we appreciate your participation in this poll. Now it is my pleasure to introduce State Senate candidate for District 10, Libby Willis. Libby.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. I am Libby Willis. I'm the candidate for State Senate District 10 in Tarrant County. And as we've noted, the seat has been held by my friend, Wendy Davis, for the last 6 years. She's done a great job doing that. I really am delighted to join each of you tonight to discuss these really important issues that are at stake in this campaign, especially, as we all know, for Texas women. I also want to thank Cecile for your introduction. You have really worked tirelessly to support the causes of Texas women, and we are really grateful for your leadership and your commitment to Texas. I personally remember very fondly when I had the opportunity to introduce your mom, Ann Richards, and she was in Governor Ann Richards at an event here in Fort Worth for my late father-in-law, Senator Doyle Willis. I believe every Texan owes a debt of gratitude to you and to your family and to your mother for your service to the state, so I wanted to thank you for that. First, let me say how thankful I am also for Planned Parenthood Texas Votes for all of their support for our campaign. Planned Parenthood stepped up early, and they made Texas a priority, and they have included financial and organizing support right here in Senate District 10. And I believe that has really sent a message to conservative opposition on the other side that women are united and that we are willing to fight back on these very basic health issues. We do know how much is at stake in this election and how important it is, and there are so many stark contrasts between me and my opponent, but there really are no greater contrasts than those when it comes to women's health. In the Senate, I will strongly defend the rights of women to make their own health care decisions. I really believe we need to strengthen the Women's Health Fund and not leave federal funds on the table. We know that thousands of women have lost access to birth control and cancer screenings and other services when the legislature banned funding from Planned Parenthood. Over 150,000 Texans lost access when the legislature made those very dangerous cuts to our state budget in 2011. I believe that contraception should be accessible and affordable, and I believe in age-appropriate, comprehensive sex education so that teenagers and young adults really do have the information they need and the right information to make decisions. I trust women to make their own health care decisions, and I will vigorously fight on other important issues, including once and for all funding our Texas public schools, which are so critical to the future of Texas. I will fight for a Texas solution that expands Medicaid in Texas. With over 1 in 4 people in Texas still uninsured, and by the way, that figure is true also for people in SD10. This includes veterans and children, and I believe it's imperative that we find a solution, a Texas solution, that can truly expand Medicaid. This is important for health care, it's important for job creation, and it is important for economic stability for families. We know that the Republican politicians in Austin have really drastically eroded these and many other things that are important to women, and they have made blatantly political attempts to derail women's health care in Austin. I face an opponent in Connie Burton who came into politics from the Tea Party movement, and she sides with the most extreme voices in her party, and she criticizes members of her own party, the Republican Party. She has even said that moderate Republicans, quote, make her sick to her stomach, unquote. She's also said she would deny a woman's right to an abortion even in the cases of rape, incest, or to save the life of the mother. And that is a position that is really even extreme within her own party. She also has said that she would have supported House Bill 2 last year, which Cecile referred to. And, of course, that has predictably led to clinic closures across Texas, although thankfully the Supreme Court has halted that decision at least for now. She also opposes comprehensive sex education in our school curriculum. I believe that is an unconscionable position. And she also opposes the Texas Equal Pay Act, which was authored by Wendy Davis, passed by the legislature, but vetoed by Governor Perry. So I really do hope that I can reintroduce and pass that legislation next year. On these and so many other issues, Connie Burton will put the interests of lobbyists and political scorecards ahead of the interests of Texas women. And Tarrant County voters really are moderate, and I believe that the positions held by my opponent are very extreme. They are way out of the mainstream, and they offend our common sense values. This truly is an election about how we can work together to improve our state for the future. We are growing 1,000 new people a day moving into Texas, and we need strong leadership in Austin to ensure that our state is moving forward and not backward. So the election for Senate District 10, and it's the most important state legislative race this year in Texas. It's about a contrast. There is so much at stake during these last 6 days, and I really need your help and your support. I do hope that you will go out and vote early. We have 2 days left of early voting, and the polls will be open until 7 p.m., and I encourage you and your families and your friends, your coworkers, and your neighbors to vote. I encourage you to make one more phone call, one more email to your friends and family, and really encourage them to get out and vote. You can visit my website at libbyfortexassenate.org. You can sign up to volunteer with us. You can visit our Facebook and our Twitter pages to keep up with news about the campaign. So we are excited about these last 6 days. We know the importance of the race, and we are just looking for great things to happen on November 4th, but we will need your help to make them happen. Now I'm happy to turn it back over and take some questions.
So Yvonne, I think we're ready for questions if there are any.
Great. Thank you so much. My apologies in that delay. Thank you, Libby, so much. So first, I want to just remind everyone to press 0 if you have a question. And second, I want to just let everyone know that our poll results have come in for our first question, and 82% of you said that accessible health services for all women are the issues that you are most concerned about. And I would like to go ahead and get our first question, and the first question has come in to us, and I'll go ahead and read that question, and then we'll take further questions from the audience. But the first question was for Libby. Libby, can you tell us why the issue of women's health is personally important to you?
Well, as I said in my opening comments, I know how important it is, particularly for health care issues and particularly in reproductive health care decisions. I really believe those are so important for women to be able to make these decisions with their families and with their doctors. But I sort of anticipated there might be a question like this, and I wanted to share just a very, very brief personal story. There are lots of Republican women who are voting for me, and some of them are in the healthcare field. And I heard a story the other day that really got to me, and it does explain why these issues are so important to me. A nurse who has come to early voting to vote for me said, you know, I'm a Republican, but she said, I have seen too many women come to the ER, and one in particular, the story always stayed with her, of a 16-year-old who thought she was pregnant and was desperate to have an abortion, but did not have access to one. So she tried to self-induce termination of the pregnancy. She came into the ER in very bad shape. She lived for 2 weeks. They tried everything they could to save her life, and they could not. They learned later that she never was pregnant. And so a life was lost because of fear and misinformation, and it just is a tragic, tragic story, and we probably all know something very similar to that. But I thought how needless, but that story has stayed with this nurse for all these years. And I just believe that we as Texans and as women, all of us, women and men, we can do so much better than that. We do not have to have lives lost so needlessly. I really believe that the truth will set you free, and knowledge will too. And we must do these things, share knowledge and share access to health services for all of us so that we prevent tragedies like this from happening in the future.
Libby, thank you so much. And now I'd like to go ahead and take a question from a caller. We have Joel on the line. Joel, please go ahead.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi. Oh, hey. I just had a question about how, why you think this issue is important for men, or why men should be involved?
Well, this is Cecile, and I'm going to just say something quickly, and I'll throw it over to Libby. But I think this is one of the things that is misunderstood by some of the folks running for office, is that they think that access to health care and access to reproductive care is a women's issue exclusively. And the fact is, Planned Parenthood, we know our fastest growing population coming to Planned Parenthood are now young men. But the decisions about, contraception, about preventing disease, STDs, and about making a decision about when and whether to become parents, these are decisions that women make, and men are very involved in as well. And so I think we're seeing more and more people here in the state of Texas, men who are voting to protect the rights of women, whether it is to equal pay or access to reproductive care. And I think that's one of the things that's making a big difference, and will make a big difference in Libby's race. But Libby, I'll throw that to you too.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that it is about families, and it is about education. And I think that we, frankly, can't do enough to share information and make services available. I alluded to that in my previous comment. It's just critical for our families, for their stability and for their futures. So, yes, it is a family issue.
Thank you both so much. We have another caller on the line, but I do want to remind callers that please press 0 if you have a question. And now we're going to take a call from Dan in Fort Worth. Dan, please go ahead.
My question really has to do with the realistic nature of filibustering legislation. I know Wendy tried in the past, but it ultimately failed when another session was convened. So is that really a realistic alternative to block anti-women's rights legislation? I also have a second question, and it concerns a recent initiative of some Republican candidates to change birth control to be an over-the-counter medication instead of prescribed. Do you consider that a realistic alternative, or do you think that's a way to preempt federal subsidies? And
terrific. Well, Yvonne, I think I'll take the birth control this is Cecile. I'll take the birth control over-the-counter question, since it has been cropping up, and I'll let Libby talk about the filibuster in the Senate. Your question is really a good one, because, of course, there are several candidates running for office who have voted consistently against women's access to reproductive care, including birth control, who are now saying that they would be for birth control over-the-counter. And we at Planned Parenthood certainly think that that's something that is a future option. There's nothing on the table right now anywhere to make it happen. But the point is, these folks who are coming up with this idea are coming up with it after we fought so hard to get birth control covered by insurance plans. We now have 48 million women in this country, including a lot of them here in Texas, who are getting their birth control at no cost, which is allowing women to get the birth control that works best for them, not just what's cheapest. So we would be for birth control over the counter as long as insurance companies, insurance plans continue to pay for it. And so, again, I think some of the folks who are suggesting this are being a little disingenuous. The important thing is to make sure that women have access to their full range of birth control options, because we have seen all across the country that when women do, we reduce unintended pregnancy, we can reduce teen pregnancy, and we're even seeing a drop in abortion rates in states where they've had full access to all types of contraceptives. But I think your filibuster question is a really good one. I'll throw that to Libby.
Sure. A filibuster is something, it's a tool in the toolbox, and I think it is to be used carefully. I would say that the two times that we have seen Wendy use it to great effect were when she filibustered against the education cuts, and then this last time last summer. When it's necessary to try to stop really extreme legislation, I absolutely think the filibuster is an important tool to use. And yes, the bill did finally pass, but look at what happened. Look at how much attention was focused on the issue, and the debate is really important. So I believe that it was the right thing to do, and it's an ongoing issue. We all know that. But I believe a lot of progress has come about because she was so brave and so steadfast in her desire to do that. And I think it was the right thing to do in that case.
Libby, great. Thank you so much. And thank you very much, Cecile. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and take our second poll question. And I want to also, again, remind folks if they have a question to please press 0. Planned Parenthood relies on dedicated people like you to help make women's health care a priority, and we need your help with Libby Willis's critical campaign here in Texas. Can we count on you to help ensure Libby is elected? Press 1 if you are interested in volunteering and would like more information. Press 2 if you would like to donate to the campaign. Press 3 if you would like to donate and volunteer. And again, just to remind everyone, please press 0 if you have a question. Okay, great. Well, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and allow Libby to make some closing remarks, and as we have additional questions that come in, we will flag those. But Libby, would you like to please go ahead with your closing remarks?
Sure. Just wanted to stress again how very important this Senate seat is, not just for SD10, but for the state of Texas. I really believe that this seat and the future of it is going to have a great impact on the Senate. I mean, it's almost going to have a statewide impact, the way that it goes. I believe that in the Star-Telegram, in their endorsement of pointed this out, they said that they were not sure that my opponent could or would represent the diversity in the district, and that they were confident that I would and could. And that is my plan. I will go down to Austin to represent all people. But I want to go to work on these very important issues, the ones we've been discussing tonight, and education, and so many others we can talk about. The contrast is clear. It is a stark contrast between extremism and allegiance to a Tea Party agenda, and mine, which really is inclusive. I will work across the aisle. I do want to get things done in the Senate. I am a problem solver. And that is the kind of legislator and legislation that we frankly need in Austin so much. We don't need more extremism. We need bipartisanship. We need to work together to find the solutions to the problems of our state so that we can move forward. So I really encourage everybody to vote. Take advantage of this wonderful opportunity to vote, because your vote will make a difference in this race. It is very tight. It may only be 1,000 or 2,000 votes that separate us a week from last night, election night. So every vote will matter, and every person you can encourage to vote, I strongly urge you to encourage them to go vote. So I'm thrilled to have been here tonight to talk about these issues, and we're going to be working hard for the next 6 days to keep this Senate seat in the blue column so that we can do the right thing for Texas and Texans. And thank you so much to Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, and to you, Yvonne, and especially to Cecile. Thank you so very much.
Libby, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Cecile for her closing remarks. But I would like to ask Cecile first a question that we also did receive. How can we help women voters understand the importance of this election and get them to the polls? Cecile, if you wouldn't mind answering that question before you go into your closing remarks, that would be great.
Sure. Well, and thank you, Yvonne, for hosting this, and to everybody who called in. I think Libby really hit it on the head. I mean, this is an election where the stakes couldn't be higher. It's not just about one Senate seat. It is about the Senate seat that really can determine whether or not we can stop bills like the ones that Governor Perry pushed through the legislature from being passed. And we've already seen the damage that can be done to women's health care access, whether it's Libby's story that she told or what we see at Planned Parenthood every day of women who are desperate for access to health care and where the legislature is putting up every roadblock that they possibly can. To whoever called in with that question, this is a case in this state Senate race where, as we've already listed, the differences between Libby Willis and her opponent are as wide as they could possibly be. And I think, so talking to women and men voters over the next 5-6 days, I think you can draw a very clear contrast, and I think remind people that this is the seat that Wendy Davis held that really made the difference in so many critical votes that we had in the state legislature. So we've got a few days left to finish this job. We have so many great organizers out there, committed supporters. And I wanted to say on behalf of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes PAC that we are going to run through the tape on this one. You know, back when my mother ran for governor, the way she ran is just like Libby is running, which is full tilt. And the way she won was because folks gave every single ounce they could to her election, and it was really grassroots supporters that made a difference. And as Libby said, these elections can be decided by as few votes as one vote per precinct. So between now and next Tuesday, I hope everybody who's on this call who cares enough about the future of the state of Texas will do everything they can, not only to sign up for phone banks and block walking, but make sure that whoever you talk to in the next few days, that you tell them how important the state Senate race is. Many folks probably don't even know there is a state Senate race. They may know there's a governor's race. They may be focused at the top of the ticket, but you have the opportunity to tell them what a difference it will make. And most people, the reason they don't go vote is because no one ever bothered to talk to them and tell them how important it is. We know it is. We know that Libby Willis will be an outstanding state senator, as the Fort Worth Star Telegram said, and as we all know, because we know her record. And the exciting thing is, Libby, when you win this race, everybody on this phone call and the folks who have been out there working for you so hard over the last several months will know that they each played a real part in putting you into that job as the next state senator from Texas's 10th district. So thanks to everybody, and Yvonne, thank you, and Libby, thanks for making this race, and thanks for being a great public official.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for joining this call. Unfortunately, we could not get to every question. If you have additional questions, please stay on the line, and you will be able to leave a voicemail at the end of the event. Thanks again so much to Cecile Richards and to Libby Willis for participating on the call, and to all of you for calling in. Again, please remember you can stay on the line and leave a question to be answered, that we will listen to these messages following the call. And thank you so much for your time. Have a great night.